The aspect I want to look at is the self-concept. How do I, as a leader, take up a sense of self in the world, manage my sense of worth and security as I move through these stages? Now, the basic shift in reactive to creative is from what I call an outside-in operating system to an inside-out operating system. And what I mean by that is Covey looked at this and said that in the reactive level of development, leaders are leading from a dependent orientation. And here's what he meant by that. We're dependent on external validation for our sense of security and self-worth. Now, when I was a young manager, I didn't know this. I kind of tripped into it. In fact, this experience I'm going to tell you launched all of this work. This was my beginning of a shift from reactive to creative. I was early in my career, I was a director of organization development at a large healthcare organization. I reported directly to the senior team, and to put it mildly, I was completely frustrated with their leadership. I was so frustrated, I had a bottle of antacid permanently affixed to my desk so that I could get at it whenever I needed it. This was my level of consciousness at the time, right? So what's a frustrated consultant do? He says, well, let's get a survey. Let's do a survey. So we did a culture survey. We'll fix them. And sure enough, back in those days, the stuff came back in these huge printout papers. And so I get the stuff. First thing I want to do is see how screwed up the organization is. And sure enough, we got plenty of issues to work on. I can prove my point. This is revealing here of where I started. Then I quickly went to my results, expecting, of course, to see a very different picture, and got the shock of my young career. Because the results of our organization, the team that I managed, were exactly the same as the organizational results. Our group was a microcosm of the organization I was frustrated with. And that reflected on my leadership. So I took it really seriously, and I brought in a consultant to work with us. She interviewed my entire team, sits me down at breakfast before a 2-day team building and says, well, I've talked to your entire team, and frankly, you're the problem. I gulped on my eggs. I said, what'd you find out? She said, you don't offer any leadership. I said, oh, I know about that. What else did you find out? And she said, what do you mean you know about that? Now listen to the outside in here. I said to her, how do you expect me to lead when I have no leadership? It's not my job to have a vision. It's their job to have a vision. If I'm a consultant to them, if they don't have a vision, there's nothing for me to do. You don't understand my boss. You don't understand the culture around here. There's nothing I can do. My hands are tied, and it's not my fault. Sound familiar? Vintage reactive. I didn't know that. They're the problem. Then she asked me a very powerful question that comes from the next level, from the creative level of mind. She said, what would you do if you could? And out came another outpouring of all the stuff I wanted to be about in the organization and all the stuff I wanted to be about in my life. And she looked at me and said, well, let's have a meeting. And we went on to do some work together. And about 3 months later, I got for what for me was a revelation, but now looking back, it may be a blinding flash of the obvious. See, we don't know we're in an operating system until we start to observe it, right? So I'm starting to get some insight into my reactive level of mind. And the insight went something like this. I want to lead. I want to be a change agent. I want everybody to like me. Catch-22. Not solvable. This is one of those unsolvable dilemmas that must be solved, especially people above me. It was like, and as soon as I saw it, that I'm caught in a belief system that says I'm only okay if you, and especially the people above me, think highly of me, like me, see me as the greatest thing since sliced bread. And that held me back. This is the outside-in operating system. I'm taking up a sense of self by needing validation, admiration, approval, seen as the star, the winner, the one who can, And that puts us, as Larry Wilson said, in a play not to lose game. We're actually trying to advance our results and careers in a play not to lose structure. And you run in the middle of that, in the middle of the transition here between reactive and creative, you run into the kind of core dilemma that I want to be a part of something great, and I got to find a safe way to do it. And the kicker is there's no safe way to be great. And so right in here, I had to come to terms with that. There's no way I can pursue my purpose, my vision in this organization and have everybody like me. There's an inherent risk to leadership. I got to belly up to it. And so then, the next shift then is what would you do if you could? And the creative operating system is inside out. It's focused on an internalized sense of purpose that translates into vision and strategy and action. And you're focused on building an organization you believe in, a future you're hell-bent to create. And that's a very different structure. Not that there isn't fear. I still want people to like me, but I'm managing it. It's not managing me. And that's the creative level operating system. And so all the leadership literature is written to this level. If you look at any good 360 competency assessment, how do we describe effective leadership? Purpose, vision, translated into strategy, decisive action and results focus, systems aware, self-aware, emotionally intelligent, authentic and direct in our communication, and relationally competent. Vintage level operating system at Creative Mind. And it only boots up well on Creative Mind.